Hey, do you like coffee? Do you like gourmet coffee? Do you like really amazing gourmet coffee that's a total steal and just happens to be based on a culinary podcast? Well, look no further. The Coarse Grind Podcast has teamed up with the Mr. G Coffee Company to create the perfect custom blend. Dark as the logo itself with hints of caramel, sea salt, and dark chocolate, it is luxury in a cup at an incredible price. Be sure to check out their site today, MrGCoffee.com, and order some now.
Hi, this is Katsuya Tanabe from Top Chef, plenty of times, and you're listening to Shawn Rosler at the Coarse Grind Podcast. Don't be racist, listen it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 92 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. 92, what was I doing? Oh, I was starting high school. God, that's depressing. With you as always, host creator Shawn Rosler. How is everyone doing this fine evening? You know, having time between seasons of TV shows sometimes helps me to forget, if but for a moment, what a creature of habit I am. No, not because I have to open up bags of chips upside down to get the flavoring evenly distributed. I highly advise that, by the way. And no, not because if I have a Foster's oil can in my possession, I have to open it with my teeth. That is not advisable. Also been done, though. More than any of that, though, it's to remind me that Bravo's Top Chef is the reigning, defending culinary reality competition champion of the world. And it's also where I get a chance to talk with some of the most insanely interesting, talented Epicurean stories, like tonight's guest, for example. Tonight's guest, after having graduated from LSU Business School, had an inkling that she might want to be a chef. So she traded in her calculator for a spatula. That sounds like a weird, punk band name. I don't know, calculator for spatulas. And got a job as Sucre, a New Orleans chocolate shop. It was love at first sight. From there, she worked in various New Orleans kitchens, including Coquette on Magazine, before deciding to pursue her dreams in New York City. She landed her first job at 11 Madison Park. Then she worked for Dinner Lab, expanding the company across the U.S. She also worked on Parker Red and Ted and Honey. She took some time off to travel, explore making pottery, which is awesome, and spend some time with her family, which is also awesome. When she's not cooking, she's working on her ceramic company, The Baker's Clay, and when she's not doing that, she's probably at the beach. Go figure, why not? Why wouldn't you be? Mostly, though, she enjoys sharing her love of and passion for cooking. Oh, and did I mention she's on Top Chef Kentucky? Well, she was, and I for one disagree with the abrupt displacement, but hey, isn't that why we have a show like this? So let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, our guest this evening, the co-founding culinary director of CookSpace in Brooklyn, New York, Chef Nini Nguyen. How we doing, Chef?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Everybody thanks me at this point, and I'm like, I'm nobody in central Pennsylvania, and you're doing awesome things with food, so thank you for being here. It's an immense pleasure, and, I think maybe when we get towards the middle of the episode, we'll talk about the bullshit. I'm sorry, Restaurant Wars, and how much I disagree with it and how on point you were, but that's just because I'm a fan, and I'm extremely biased, but who wouldn't be, because you're awesome. So, folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories like mine, starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we talk about where the guest in question came from, what brought them to where they're doing, and everything in between. What made them want to do food for a living. Mains, we talk about where they're at, what they're presently doing, maybe what they're looking at in that 5-year plan window. And finally, afters, we talk about a little bit more off the cuff, a little bit more irreverent items, but no one's been injured in 91 episodes, so I don't see that happening tonight. So, without further ado, Chef Nini, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
I grew up in New Orleans, in a very Vietnamese community in New Orleans East. And I grew up eating mostly Vietnamese food as a kid and slowly getting introduced to American food. My mom worked a lot. My grandmother would always take care of us and cook these amazing, home-cooked meals. And yeah, I've always loved food. I was always very hospitable to, guests for the house, like at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hospitality has always been in my blood. My grandmother would always make fun of me because I would offer her friends who come over chips or anything that I was eating. I'm like, do you want some? And so I was a really weird child, but I've always loved food, and I think that that's kind of something very common in New Orleans. Everyone's always talking about food.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that's not weird. That's endearing. That really is. And all right, fine, screw it. We're not going to wait till the middle of the episode. I'm going to get on it right now. All right, you're in the front of the house. Let me tell you something. I've been in plenty of restaurants. I would have been just so fine with, oh, hi, Nini. Nice to, oh, yeah, sure. Like, you were so pleasant. What the hell? I hold severe issue with this, and I do get a little fanboyish, so talk me down off the ledge if I get a little too far. So, anyway, that's kind of cool to hear, though, that maybe side of you from that early age played into the front-of-the-house decision, perhaps.
Yeah, I hope everyone's watched the show by now, if they hear this.
Spoilers.
No
Spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah, there's a lot of spoilers. But I started in the front of house. In college, I ran a hostess stand. That was my first restaurant job, and I just love the culture so much. I've worked every different position in the front of house, and then I switched to back of house. And so I really felt like I was equipped for a front of house role. I'm very warm, welcoming. I feel like I'm a very genuine person, and the whole reason why I love this career is because I love giving people plates of food. They're usually very happy when I do so. It's almost like an addiction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a massive point you bring up there. And actually, I just not to give away too much of my own biography on your episode, but I just started a new gig. For which I am primarily remote, but I was down in Philadelphia for a couple of days, orienting to it. And I actually sat next to, at a wonderful brewery, if you're ever in the area, Vault Brewing in Yardley, Pennsylvania. I sat next to a restaurateur who was, I believe, he was first-generation Sicilian off the boat. And we talked about that very thing and how it becomes almost a need. It starts as a want, right? It starts as a want to make people smile, but then it's like, well, shit, if every plate isn't going out and I'm not getting smirks on every one, something's wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. And I thought I had what it took. You did.
You did.
It sucked.
I'm angry.
Like, now I will never, if I ever do Top Chef again, I don't think I would do front of house. Unless they make me.
Well, front of the house is like, I mean, historically, and I know we were talking before we hit record, we were talking about how, we both watched it from the early days. Like, I have a picture of Casey Thompson here in my studio basement wearing my podcast shirt because, like, she was season 3 initially. And, like, that's how far back we go. And hasn't it always been front of the house is always the first to get the old wazoo?
Yeah.
It's never a good thing. Like I thought you had it, though. I really did. Wow, we're like so out of order here. We're supposed to be talking about where you came from, and I'm just like fan bitching about you going home. All right, I'll stop. I'll go back to the back of the room. So here's this nurturing, wonderful background, which made you perfect for front of house, by the way, Calicchio. And you're growing up in New Orleans, which is just a hotbed of culinary awesomeness. Tell me about what kind of an eater you were growing up. You said you loved food. Were you picky at all, or was it pretty much anything goes?
Anything goes.
Nice.
I felt like my grandmother was always impressed, or adults were always impressed about like what I ate. I loved raw oysters on the half shell, frog's leg. Anything, even shrimp paste, which a lot of Vietnamese people, it's a Vietnamese ingredient, and Vietnamese people don't even eat it. And I loved it as a kid, now. Yeah. And so I was very adventurous, and I still am. I feel like that I always want to try different things, at least once. There are some things that I actually don't like eating, and I try so hard to like yogurt.
Yogurt? What?
I know. Yogurt is like, I like it in very certain dishes, but I can't eat yogurt because I didn't grow up eating a lot of dairy.
Sure.
Because in Vietnamese food, like, we barely have dairy, and I just can't get over it. As much as I try to, like, I buy yogurt every week, and my boyfriend's like, why are you buying this if you're not going to keep it? Because I want to like it.
You're getting probiotics by proxy. Like, you're just kind of osmotically absorbing them.
Exactly. I'm like, maybe I'll eat it, and then maybe I'll fall in love with it. He's like, not every week.
No.
So, yeah. I think that a good chef wants to understand why people like certain things. And so I think maybe that's where it's coming from. I have no idea.
That's an awesome point. I mean, here's something again, you know, as you kind of get to know new coworkers, they want to hear stories about you and everything like that. And here I am with a culinary podcast, but I'm like, textures are my downfall. And so actually not every type of yogurt, but like the pre-mixed bullshit Activia that is basically like gloop. It's basically Elmer's glue in a container. No, I can't do that. I can't do pudding. I can't do Jell-O, and I can't do that pre-mixed nonsense yogurt. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We got something there. All right. So, but really, at the end of it all, you're certainly not picky by any stretch of the imagination. Shrimp paste would, you know, illustrate that perfectly.
Yeah.
Looking back to that childhood, then, rich as it was in just awesome culinary goodness, you've got to have some foods that really kind of tug at the heartstrings, like a nostalgic memory. What's like a dish or two that you look back to, and you know, it doesn't have to be as dramatic as the one tear rolling down the cheek with a lightly tremoring upper lip, but there's got to be something that like, or some things that you look back to and you go, God, you know what I miss?
Okay, so I don't know if this is necessarily a dish that I miss, but I don't know why this memories come to my head. And I, as a kid growing up, on Saturday mornings, there is a farmer's market. This was way before farmer's markets were cool. It's a really, like, Vietnamese people, super unregulated. There's, like, ice on the ground with fish on top of it.
Nice.
And, like, a pig, like a van with a pig that was just slaughtered, and the butcher's pulling it off the pig, and all these Asian women are arguing over what part they can have or what part they ordered that week. And I would go every week with my grandma, and you'd have to go at like around 5 in the morning, because if you went at 7, everything was gone.
Well, isn't that like the what the hell is it? The fish market in it's not Hokkaido, is it?
Somewhere in Japan.
Yeah, there's like, and actually, I do think it is Hokkaido. It's this like massive fishing town, and if you're not there by like 4:03 a.m., everything's gone. Like, you get nothing. So
exactly.
So pigs being slaughtered, fish on ice. What else was there?
Livestock. So you could buy chicken and ducks.
What?
I think that's it.
Nice.
And rabbits. Chickens, ducks, and rabbits. And I always wanted a pet rabbit growing up. And one day, my grandmother bought a rabbit. And I was actually really scared of it. I didn't want to touch it. I just thought they were really cute. And then I was like, Grandma, what are you doing? And I never saw her kill the rabbit. I just remember vividly seeing her dump the rabbit in boiling water. So maybe like the furs. I don't know, but it smelled awful. And then I hated the smell so much that I went outside to play. And then sure enough, 6:30 came around, dinner was ready, and we had curry. And it was a delicious curry, but it was rabbit.
I would pay so much for you to see my face right now. I literally, as you started towards the precipice of that awful cliff dive, I mouthed to myself, I said, wait for it. Mother of God. But I mean, the curry was good? The
curry was delicious.
God.
Yeah.
Bugs.
And I the sad part is I didn't feel bad about it. I mean, I did want a rabbit, but what's good of a rabbit if I can't pet it?
That's true. Well, that's true. And you know what? Yeah. They are creepy depending on what kind you're talking about. If it's the...
Yeah.
First of all, the magician's white rabbit has to be one of the creepiest animals of all time. I'm just going to put that out there. It's not a friendly-looking thing, and here it is supposed to be fun. Like, it's got red eyes, like every demon in the world you've ever portrayed. Stop. And all they do is sit there and, like, wiggle their nose. Like, who does that? Nobody.
Yeah,
Cokeheads. I don't know. All right, so rabbit curry from the farmer's market. That's a really cool story, actually. You know, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, my grandmother, from time to time, I've seen ducks. I've actually seen, we have a dish that we coagulate duck blood with herbs and, like, rice crackers. And I've seen my grandma, she's kind of a scary woman. She's not, actually. She's very cute and, like, 4 feet tall. Cutting a duck's throat, and then I see it quacking, and it's, like, just bleeding out. I'm pretty sure that should be very traumatizing for probably a 7-year-old. But, you know.
Oh, my God. Nini, you were, like, the sweetest human being on the show, and now already twice I've got, well, do you want to know how my pet rabbit died? Grandma. That's awesome. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, I mean,
that's any Asian household.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean,
get used to it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I think people in general, and I think, you know, Gordon Ramsay champions this cause left and right. He's like, look, if you're going to eat it, you should know where it comes from. Bourdain. You know, he admitted, like, you know, I'm going to have a hell of a time with this when... I forget what village he was in, but he had to go down and he was given the, quote, honor of poking the boar in the neck and killing it. And he said, he you know, he's like, this is going to keep me up for weeks. And yeah,
that was actually in Louisiana. He went to Lafayette for
that's what it was.
And he had to shoot it.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But I mean, like, I think, you know, for comedic effect, yes. And I mean, admittedly, it's like, wow, really? Your 4-foot grandma is, like, shanking a duck and letting it bleed out?
I know.
Quack, bitch, quack.
She's a gangster.
Yeah, exactly. Gangster. Where'd you put the money? But, you know, it's a reality of it. Like, you have to be comfortable with that. My kid, actually, when you texted me about pushing the time a little bit, we were actually up at Petco while my middle kid was swimming. And my oldest kid is, like, crazy about getting a snake. And I took him over to the mice, and I said, well, you're going to have to get used to buying these. He's like, why? I said, well, you're going to have to feed it to him. And he said, well, don't you get them frozen? I said, no, man. You know, you want to let the snake hunt a little bit. You're going to have to listen to it. You should have seen the color drain out of his face. He's like, I'm good with a bird. I'm like, okay, birds are good. Birds are good. Seeds are easy. So... No, you know, that's such a cool, and you know, Asian cultures in general, I think, tend to have I think it's a beautiful comfort with it. Like, look, they're here. This is what we eat. You know, do it up and throw it on the ice at the farmer's market, and, you know, off you go. So, cool stories. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, you know, I'm hearing a lot of folks, actually, in your upbringing and their influence culinarily. Safe to say that your grandma was probably your strongest culinary influence, or?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Cool.
I would, we would go to the farmer's market and we would come home and I would make steamed buns with her or steamed rice crepes. Like, we would always make a fun dish for the weekend. And that's when I felt like I felt a lot of satisfaction in making something or feeding the family. And so I think that's where it triggered my love for cooking, but I never realized that I wanted to cook professionally until I couldn't get a job coming out of college. Yeah, and I know we said that you exchanged calculator for spatula. What was your major in college, Nini? Business. I have a business degree in marketing, and I graduated in 2009, and the jobs that were there weren't paying that much more than what I was making serving, and And I said, fuck it. I got a college degree for my family because Asian families are, like, education is very important.
That's right.
And I got a degree for them, and then I said, I'm going to just try cooking. I mean, my mom still, I feel like till this day, still says, it's not too late to go to medical school.
Wow.
And I'm on Top Chef.
Yeah.
She's really proud, but she's always like, you never know, you might want to go to medical school. And I'm like, I'm not going to school again.
No. I think you're doing just fine where you're at, Nini, to be fair. To be fair, I think you're just fine where you're at. But, and, also, business marketing does not hurt the culinary profession. I think that's a good thing to have your mind around.
Yeah, especially now that being on the show, and marketing changes all the time, and so trying to figure out how to, I don't know, like, make the most out of my 15 minutes being on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and you know what? That's a very realistic way to look at it. If you're a food nerd like me, like you all have, 15 years in my field of view, but you're absolutely right. Here you are, you have this platform, you have, folks like me, hopefully more following my wake and, call you up and, have you on, write about you, talk about you, and so on. But it goes and it goes quick. But having that business background, I think you've got a solid step up where others might not. So, Mom, if you're listening, I think she's doing okay. I think she did the right thing. Be a little patient, and she might not win. She might not, get the A+, but, she's doing all right. She's definitely doing all right.
I think I'm doing all right.
So, we talk about the fact that you couldn't necessarily find the job straight out that, could really beat what you were serving for. Was there a specific moment that you went, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cook for a living. Like a hard stop moment, literally 1 second in time that you either looked in a mirror or something. And what was that?
I actually went to Sucre. I walked in the door and I just thought it was such a cute place, and it was it's very magical inside. All of the desserts were beautiful, and I walked in and I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a chef. I want to learn how to make pastries because that was the one thing I didn't know anything about. Mm-hmm. And I went to culinary school for like a semester and a half, and then ended up dropping out because I was learning so much more on the job.
Hell yeah.
And then I was very particular with what chefs I worked for, and somehow I worked my way through New Orleans at all the restaurants that I really wanted to go, and I wanted to take my career more seriously, so I moved to New York. And I feel like all chefs do. I feel like actors move to LA, and chefs move to New York when they want to make something of themselves.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I somehow landed a job at 11 Madison Park. That was my first job, and it was an intense kitchen, but it taught me so many lessons. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a way better chef now than I was before because of 11 Madison Park.
Yeah. Yeah, and it never, no matter what you're doing, kids, if you're listening, here comes some job advice from Daddy Rosler. It doesn't matter, how necessarily, in love with it you are. You're always going to find a lesson in an experience. And sounds to me like you did the same. And look at you. Here you are, Top Chef. Bush League podcast on a Thursday night. But oh yeah, you were supposed to say, no, it's not Bush League. It's awesome. All right, fine. We'll move on. So that was what brought you to present day. And, obviously here we are, those that knew you, those that, live in the area, know of you, those of us who don't, here we are being introduced to this awesome culinary. My wife was actually watching, I want to say episode 3, was it? And she looked up, it was where you were really kind of leaning into your story a little bit. And I think it was 3. Maybe it was 2 or 3. And my wife looked up, and it takes a lot to get her to look up. And she looks up, she goes, "She sounds awesome." I'm like, "Yep, gonna write her name down to call up for the show. Okay, cool. Nini Nguyen, gotta do some homework." So this is how a lot of people are coming to know you now. And, you know, your 15 minutes is now. You know, talk to me about when you're in the kitchen present day. How do you get inspired? What inspires Nini?
I think what inspires me is I travel a lot, and food-wise, I love eating food and going to markets and eating weird things all over the place and food combinations. And so I feel like in my head, as a chef, I get inspired by my travels, but I feel like every chef does. And I don't know, my style of food is really of my background, New Orleans, and Vietnamese, and I love to eat, and so I think it's hard. I don't know what really inspires me. I just like to be creative and experimental. My poor boyfriend, I make some weird stuff sometimes, but usually it tastes pretty good.
Right on. Yeah. Well, all right. Here you go. Here's a story to share with the boyfriend and whoever else you want to embarrass. A podcast host from Central Pennsylvania. This past weekend before I left, my wife gave me a recipe, and she said, "Do you want to make these?" I said, "Sure, I'll make them on top of what we're making." It was a shrimp spring roll, right? Sounds easy enough, right? And I look at the pictures in the recipe, and I say to her, I said, "Those are wonton skins. We're going to be able to use wonton skins, no problem." And she very sternly and abruptly says, "Look, it calls for spring roll wrappers." And I look, and it does. It calls for spring roll wrappers. So whatever. So I go in to get them. We have a nice Asian market here, believe it or not, in Central PA, and able to get everything I need. And boy, I should have known the first time that I put that transparent wrapper, that moist, tacky wrapper in the boiling oil, and it bubbled up, and it did nothing, and the ingredients went everywhere. I should have said, you know what? One failure's enough. Oh, fucking A, if I didn't go 3 deep on that. And I finally go, all right, I've skimmed off literally the ingredients of 3 of these. I'm going to take these. Now, you'll appreciate this, because this was very Top Chef. I take them, and I have these spring rolls wrapped up, which, in hindsight, I could have served cold. Would have been fine. And I'm like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I got really hot oil. I've got an oven. I'm going to baste these down with the oil, put them in a 400-degree oven, and go. Do you know they actually turned out pretty rock solid? Like, whatever the hybrid of a spring roll and an egg roll would be, it was that. Yeah. It turned out tight. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, thank God. I got 9 out of 12 done. So, anyway,
That's really good, actually.
It's survival, man. It's survival.
Yeah, that is very Top Chef of you. Because you can't, I've never actually done it, but people do deep fry the rice paper, the spring roll wrappers. I mean, I've never done it. I think you have to dry it out before frying it.
I have no idea how the hell you would do that. It literally, you dropped it in, and within 5 seconds, it was blowing a bubble at you with a middle finger up. I'm like, all right.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm out. And like I said, 3 deep, it looked like I was making oil soup with, bean sprouts and shrimp and all this shit. So
you should apply for Top Chef.
There ain't a chance in hell. I would sink faster than a cement brick in a pond. Well, I was going somewhere with that, and that fell flat too. Go figure. I can't even talk. Here I am, the host. No, no, that's not going to happen because you all are way too on point. I would literally fail. I would actually, middle of the challenge, just like flip my board over and just walk out. I'd be like, nope, I got nothing. I got nothing. So
you never know.
Yeah, well, yeah, you never know, Tom. Padma, if you're listening, I'm just right down the road a little bit, depending on where they have it. So, anyway, so cool, and I think inspiration can come from so many places, so it's not necessarily, a hard stop like that. And your career, it's early on. You've obviously established yourself as a powerhouse, but you're still way early in your career. Talk to me about what you would consider your greatest creation to have been to date. Do you have one?
Like a dish?
Or a dish, a concept, anything like that.
Oh, I would say my greatest one is CookSpace. I really love developing a cooking school and starting it from the ground up and creating content and recipes and having a mindset that resonates with people. At CookSpace, we like to teach people without recipes and teach people techniques and encourage people to think for themselves. When people freak out when you say salt to taste, it's like teaching people how to season.
How much is that? What do I do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people rely so much on recipes that they don't actually think and say, hey, I actually don't like eggplant. Maybe I'll change eggplant for squash or something like that. They just follow through blindly. And so I encourage people to think for themselves at CookSpace, and I really love it. It's a great space, and I teach there now, but I've kind of removed myself just to open myself up to do other things, and part of me wants to move back to my hometown. I've been in New York for about almost 7 years now, and they say, if you spend 7 years in New York, you become a New Yorker. I don't want to be a New Yorker.
You don't want to do that.
I'm always going to be, I'm always a New Orleanian. I'm a Saints fan. Like, I don't really belong up here. And so I think that is my most favorite thing that I've accomplished in my life right now. Yes.
Nice. Saints fan. And actually, we live in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and Jari Evans, if you're a Saints fan, he was a Bloomsburg University grad not too long ago. So there you go.
Are you a Eagles fan? Hell
no. And let me tell you something. Here you go. Again, kind of full disclosure. Starting to work for a group out of Philadelphia. When a high-ranking officer on deck decided to do the EAGLES thing on a conference call the other day, I was like, "You've got to be kidding!" My skin started burning. I started like scratching my skin off. I'm a Steelers fan, and that's thanks to my dad. So we're constantly in a state of depression. We pretty much fund the pharma antidepressant business, so that's good.
Well, we can be friends because we play the Eagles next week.
All right, there we go.
I was gonna hang up if you were an Eagles fan.
No, not a chance.
We can continue.
Not a chance, but I'll say this: last season, the Foles thing. Come on, if you can't get behind that was pretty cool.
I know.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll give it to you guys.
But no, you know what? Here I am on air right now. Watch this. I'll probably lose my job because of it. Go Saints. Go Saints. You heard it here.
Go Saints.
Go Saints.
I know.
Now, Nini, you're hiring, right? You're going to hire me? All right.
Yeah.
You're breaking up. All right. Cool. Now,
a bunch of us are going to tailgate.
Nice.
A bunch of top chefs are going to tailgate in Atlanta, and I'm one of them. And so hopefully I can't decide if I'm going to make jambalaya or boudin balls, but I want something Cajun.
Yeah, you got to go Cajun, especially with that wonderful background of yours. You gotta go that space. So, but that's so cool to hear. CookSpace and teaching like that. Like, I think it's so important, and not to revisit my shaming this past weekend, but like, if I had learned from a line by line, and I couldn't have figured that out. But it's honestly because, and like, look, listen, people, if you're not watching Top Chef or even like stuff like Chopped and everything on Food Network, like, you're missing the boat on how to learn to cook. So many people come up, I'm sure, like exponentially more tell you the same thing. Like, well, I just don't know how to. Well, how the hell do you think you learn how to? Watch and do.
Exactly.
Like, there's no other way. And, had I not actually watched somebody base something with hot oil, I think it might have been Blaze, actually. I'm not sure. But, baste with the hot oil, hit the hot oven, continues the frying process without the immersion process, and it came out. There's no way I learned that. That's not in a book. I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it's just, salt to taste. I think that's the name of your next big thing right there, Nini. Salt to taste.
I know.
That'd be a pretty cool name. That'd be a pretty cool name. Hey, speaking of next big thing, the food industry itself, obviously, you get trends, just like e-learning, which is what I do as a big boy when I'm not playing talk show host in the evenings. But trends tend to drive food. And we've seen them, farm to table, molecular, although molecular is kind of come and gone. What do you think is going to be the next big thing in food?
I'm starting to see a big trend in New York on this is more vegetable forward. Plant-based is a new word, but a lot of people are kind of going away from meat as like a predominant thing. Coming from New Orleans, where every appetizer entree has meat or seafood on it. There's a restaurant here by Jean George, ABCV, which is a vegetarian restaurant that is amazing. It blows my mind as a chef because I'm a meat eater, and to have a whole vegetarian restaurant that's packed, that's delicious, and I leave feeling satisfied. I think that might be one of the newest trends. Padma really, I feel like she's really trying to move that. But I could be completely wrong as well.
No.
So I don't know.
No, I think that's fair, and they've done all the kind of cross studies of how eating meat and how much X, Y, or Z a farm animal consumes to be slaughtered than to be consumed, and I get it. I, like you, am a meat eater, definitely. However, I could probably pretty easily go pescatarian. I'm not sure if that's like a step or two in the right direction.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm a huge super fan. Actually, my oldest loves the sushi, and so I again self-taught to make sushi in house, and he loves it. He loves it. Shuck the oysters too. Do all that. I think the ocean. I think all these people who have said for so many years, "Ew, yuck, seafood," give it a chance. Give it a chance, because we're pretty much running everything else dry. I'm not going to get into the whole insect thing. I don't care if Padma, Tom, and Graham come together in like a human triangle and say, "Eat this bug." No, I'm not doing it. Sorry, can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not into it either. I don't know. I've tried insects, and with the legs and the teeth, it's just I'm good.
No,
I'll eat a salad.
We pull the legs off a goddamn shrimp. What do you think I'm going to do with something smaller? No.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly.
It's gross. I'm sorry. It's not gross. Listen, if you're listening, all two of you, and you like bugs, keep eating bugs. That's fine. Peck them off each other's hair like monkeys. We're cool. We're fine. Back to the trend thing, though. Again, there's trends that overstay their welcome. You have any of those that you want to see die a fiery death? I can't imagine Nini Nguyen saying she wants anything to die a fiery death. She's too nice.
Oh, no. You don't know me now.
Oh, shit.
You don't know yet. I think that's why a lot of the contestants like me, because I seem so nice, and then I'll say something really evil. But because I say it in a nice way, everyone's like, "Oh, that's just Nini. She's being nice." Or mean, we can't tell.
I love it. I love it.
A trend that I want gone.
What's ready to go? What's GTFO style? Go.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of things have come and gone. There's nothing that I hate. Maybe, laying low on the avocado toast. I mean, I appreciate the avocado toast, but it's all right, we get it. $10 for avocado toast. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Get a little more creative. Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie Baird, if you're listening, I loved our episode. I loved Fancy Toast. I think it's great, Carrie.
Yeah.
But time to go. Time to go.
I mean, different things on toast.
Yes.
Just
yes.
Maybe, there's more things than just avocado.
Let's go crazy and use butter. Who's down?
Oh my
Anybody?
God. I mean, that's what I do.
It's innovative. It's innovative. I'm trying to really kind of reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah. How about you? Any food trends that you
Oh, look at this.
like,
Table
or
turn.
not like?
Oof. Honestly, what I'm sick of hearing about as a sell point? Farm to table. Like, it should be. It should be. Like, stop using it as a selling point and stop, 10% of our shit is sourced locally. You're not farm to table. 50%, 60%? Nope, still not. If you don't walk out your back door, grab your shit, and walk back into your kitchen and cook it, sorry. There is a place here, and I don't know if you'll ever get down here. I hope you do, and I hope I can take you and boyfriend and your family and your grandma, I don't care who else. Old Tioga Farm here in Stillwater, Pennsylvania. It is literally a farmhouse, an unassuming, beautiful, old-style farmhouse in the middle of God's country. Like, you lose cell signal 3 separate times. I can't tell you where, because I don't know where I am on the map. It is literally one of the most religious farm-to-table experiences. It's prefix. I think they're still going $60 a seat, and it is 5 courses, Italian-inspired, and everything is literally out the back door. It is
That's amazing.
Unbelievable. Justin and Dylan Naylor, again, in Stillwater, Pennsylvania, oldtiogafarm.com, if memory serves. Just incredible. But I mean, beyond that, if you're not 100%, stop trying to put that stamp on your collective brand ass. There's no reason to. We get it. Things come from farms. I think we're all well aware enough at this point in time, so stop. We don't need to say that. It is farm to table by default. It should be. And if it's not, you should literally have to call it factory to table and watch your customer count die down. But I'm not bitter. Wow, look at you turning me evil, Nini. Jesus.
No.
I'm normally nice on this.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
It does.
For people out there who still use farm to table. I hear the new one is farm to fork. Which makes me cringe.
Straight off.
It makes me cringe so much.
Straight off. Hey, you know what? Actually, there is another one here in Bloomsburg, actually. Not in Stillwater, but in Bloomsburg. Again, if you're ever driving down this way, I don't know what would bring you down, but the Blind Pig in Bloomsburg. You got to check it out. They've also been on the show. They're fantastic human beings. Justin and Dylan have been as well from Old Tioga. Hang on a minute. I'm going to just pull this up because this is what I do. BlindPigKitchen.com. Gorgeous space. Again, super, super just awesome local, literal farm-to-table fare. And the best part is, too, they'll do a Feature the Farmer or a Meet the Farmer dinner where they'll feature, everything from one person's farm. It's super awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm teaching you some things.
I know. I like this.
It's amazing. So here we go. On air, we're setting it up. Nini Nguyen, Shawn Rosler, co-broadcast from one of these two. I think we're in.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. There you go. That's kind of an on-air yes, right? All right. So again, if you're I'm so not used to people asking me a question mid-interview. I'm like,
sorry
what do
if
I
I
do?
threw that.
How do I function? But no, that probably is what bothers me most, to be honest. It's just such a thing, and I've seen so many people say, well, we locally source this from XYZ farm. They don't know where XYZ farm is. They don't know where they get their shit from. And so it's like, no, sorry, not locally sourced. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's just a catchy phrase that people are like, ooh, maybe I'll go there, and they just use it, not knowing. And everything should be farm to table by now, at least. And I completely agree with you. I wish I thought of that.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. But do me a favor, let me be that asshole, because that's going to cover way more places than avocado toast. Like, that's fine. They can walk away from that. I'm the asshole that calls out farm to table. So go me. Again, you got to hire me because I think I'm going to become unhireable pretty quick.
No, you're not.
No, you're right. You're right. Hopefully not. I'm holding you to it. So what's next? Here's Nini living her best, doing Top Chef, teaching people to salt to taste, all these awesome concepts. Like, what's the 5-year plan? What are you doing?
I think my 5-year plan is to figure out how I can go home. I'm like, at this point in my life, I'm 32, and I'm just like ready to move back home and figure out what I really want to do. I still want to teach. I want to maybe build a cooking school in New Orleans. I love meeting people and giving people the opportunity to learn from me, and I think that's kind of what I'm working towards. That and my ceramics. I always joke because I don't want to go the restaurant route, but I would love to help all of my chef friends build like crazy plates for their dishes. So collaborating with them, and that's kind of what I want to do, and hopefully land.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And custom like pottery has been kind of a big deal lately.
Yeah.
And again, not because I'm such a Bourdain acolyte, but I think he kind of got it rolling when he did the second trip to Japan, and I forget who it was. It was Nobu, wasn't it? Nobu was the guy that. Yeah. He was doing like lacquerware and shit like that, and I think people paid attention. They're like, "Oh wow, what I eat off of is as important as what I eat." Well, no shit. What are you thinking? Yeah. Like, how could it not be? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's where I started. I wanted to make plates and food to where if you saw like a plate of my food, you would be like, that's a Nini dish.
Yeah.
Whether it's from the plate, from the food, to just the whole thing together. And I think that's why I started that.
Nice.
And I think it's very important.
Nice.
And so maybe one day I'll just be like an old lady with my ceramics making stuff for all my chef friends.
Shit. I mean, listen, I think there's a lot better ways to ride out this crazy roller coaster, so good for you.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome, and I think given your business acumen as well as your culinarily artistic mind, I can't really imagine a better combination to get behind that. So well played. Well played indeed.
Thank you.
I would I for one, I would love to see some of your work. So if you ever I honestly, I don't know if you have a site up. If you do, I'd love to see it, and if not, I'd love to see the work in person. Maybe a trip to Brooklyn is in order, or New Orleans, depending on when we do it.
I know. Well, you can see my ceramics on the Baker's Clay on Instagram, or sometimes I'll post it on my actual Instagram. It's called I Dream of Nini.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's creative. Cool.
That's I'm not
awesome.
Chef Nini Nguyen, which is already taken. So I just kept my own personal.
That's all right. I like it. I like I Dream of Nini. That's creative. So that's I mean, that's a hell of a 5-year plan. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think you're just a force to be reckoned with, and I think you're just getting started, to be honest. I think when you roll back to New Orleans, you're going to give Isaac Toops a run for his shit. You heard that, Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
You heard that, man. That was
a
actually...
wild one.
He's a little bit... His interview, I've never had to herd cats so much, but it was so much fun. It was incredible. And what's crazy, actually, is that that's the first time Bravo actually cited my interview with him. I was like...
Oh, really?
Somebody Googled something, and I get a phone call. They're like, dude, go Google your name. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's practically, like, that's creepy. They're like, trust me, do it with Coarse Grind Podcast. I said, why? I look it up, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm on Bravo. And
Oh,
there I was.
amazing.
I mean, it was like a little 5-question thing with Chef Isaac Toops. And question 2, they're like, on Shawn Rosler's Coarse Grind Podcast, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, they know who I am. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. But I think you're definitely going to give him a calmer run for his money, if I may. If I may.
Wait, the first time I ever met him
Yeah.
was at his house. He had a crawfish boil,
Oh.
and I walk in, and it's just a bunch of cooks in New Orleans, and I see this bald man with a ninja sword and a watermelon, and he takes a swig of whiskey, and he says, "Is my wife coming?" And someone said, "No." He said, "Good." And then he went to slice the watermelon. And, yeah, that was my first time ever seeing, meeting, experiencing Isaac Toops.
Well, I tell you,
so-
the best part was when I did his interview, his family was on vacation, actually. They were away, and they had finally put the kids to bed, so it was actually Isaac and his wife. I don't know if I would have had an easier go of it if it was just Isaac or not, but it was so much fun. I hung up the phone, and my wife was like, "How'd that go?" I said, "I need to lay down. I'm tired." But it was so good. It was so good. So good.
Yeah.
So,
He's
anywho,
good.
I certainly hope that your road leads you back there. You know, it sounds like your heart's there already. That'd be an awesome thing to have you return home, and go Saints.
Yeah.
Go Saints again, by the way.
Thank you.
Um,
that.
Yeah. All right. So last transition into the afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little more off the cuff. No one's died, killed, or been injured in 91 episodes. I don't see it happening now. So here we go. I am standing in your kitchen, Nini. Professionally or at home, your pick. What music am I listening to?
Oh, it depends on my mood. But,
Ooh, okay.
Or time of day.
Okay.
So, morning, usually listen to something a little bit like Al Green, Sam Cooke. Midday, I don't know. But cleaning up time, I'm usually listening to rap music. I don't know why. That's just like my pick. I like to start my day really slow, and then I end my day very aggressive.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually, and I'm kind of in that boat. I think you and I are cut from the same cloth. You know, it depends on mood, first of all, but like as you get towards evening, you need that little lift, and it's got to be. I was actually, I was listening to with my earbuds in. God, people are gonna judge me for this. Whatever. I was listening to old school Biggie and 10 Crack Commandments as I was making my kids dinner before swimming practice. And I'm like, there's something inherently amiss here morally, I think. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Somebody call me.
It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
It is. Nini said it's beautiful. I trust her, and she shouldn't have gone home for Restaurant Wars, Tom. All right,
Yeah.
moving on. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island. Go with me here. Deserted island. Here you go. You dropped off. No chance of rescue. However, that being said, you can pick 3 foods or food type items to take with you. What would they be and why? Inexhaustible supply, by the way. Unlimited.
Yeah.
What would they be and
Oh
why?
my God. I don't know. I feel like rice has to be one. Otherwise, like, Asian people will be so disappointed in me.
No, rice is a strong move. Rice is a strong move.
Yeah. Eggs. If there's no chickens on the island, I feel like I could fish, so then I could have that, so I don't need to do anything like that. I can make my own fish sauce somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe eggs, rice, and vinegar.
Nice. What kind of vinegar?
That would be it. I don't know, anything I can get my hands on.
Okay.
A neutral one.
All right.
Then I'll flavor it with whatever I could find on the island.
Yeah. You'll be making your own line of custom vinegars that, like, seagulls are
Yeah.
going to buy. Caw, caw.
Exactly.
Hey, what you got,
I'll make
Nini?
salt, fish
Nice.
sauce, something.
Yeah, you're
I'll
covered.
make that work.
You're covered. You can make that work. Definitely. Is there a dish or a food or both together? I'm not sure how necessarily to, envelop it completely. But is there a dish that still scares the living hell out of you to either make or to consider making? Mine for me, here, and this might give you a little bit of time to consider. Paella, for whatever reason, scares the shit out of me. Because I have effed it up so many times. I just, as soon as paella is said, I'm like, nah, no.
I'm going to send you a YouTube video of this guy who's dubbed making paella, and he gives you the best tips.
Ooh.
So I'll email that to you.
I will take that.
Dish that's hard. I don't know. I think like Offal. I don't have that much experience in. That would be my weak spot.
Sure.
So yeah. I mean, I can make liver mousse, but that's as far as it goes. That isn't like super weird.
Yeah, and liver's not really considered offal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But anything with offal, I don't think that besides tripe, I can make tripe.
Wow, you can?
But anything else. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time. I would never make tripe on Top Chef where they give you like 5 minutes to make a dish, but...
You're going to make tripe taffy. Good luck. Oh, tripe taffy? Yeah. Sure. Chew this.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Have you ever, in your 32 years, listen to you, I'm 32, I'm over here, over 40 going, I'm shaking my angry old man hand at you. But anyway, have you ever had the chance to check out My Last Supper by Melanie Dunea?
No.
Oh my God.
Wait, is that a book?
Yes, I am stunned.
Yes, I have.
Oh my.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool. And there's actually a follow-up, the next course. And it's got Marco Pierre White on the front with a French round in front of his face. Awesome concept, right? 50 famous chefs, restaurateurs, and they're asked the same questions. And it's actually the inspiration for the show, for this format. And so I posed to you, Chef Nini, your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What's your last meal?
It is going to be... something, of course, like most of the chefs, like my grandmother makes. It's just a simple bowl of jasmine rice, and during mullet roe season, we would always buy fish eggs, so like the roes in the sack, and my grandmother would cook it, and she would simmer it with onions, ginger, fish sauce, and it almost seeps through. It's like botarga, basically, but not cured. And I would have a bowl of steaming rice with that roe just crumbled on top of the rice, and that's about it.
Jesus
Maybe
Christ.
A beer.
Jesus Christ. What beer? What's your beer? What's your go-to?
I don't know. I like light lager beers, cheap beers. Usually, like in Vietnam, we drink Vietnamese beer, which is like Beer Saigon or 333, and it's just easy drinking.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know. I don't really like IPAs because I think it's just too strong for me to drink and eat.
Yeah.
So I want like a beach beer.
Especially if you want the subtleties of that pseudo botarga to come through. And
exactly.
I'm gonna go on record here. I've never said this before. I've had brewers left and right on the show who would probably throw me into the mash pot if I said this, but I mean this. I think Asian beer is one of the most underrated sources for amazing beer in the world. Singha,
I agree with you.
Qingdao, Sapporo, I think is amazing. 333, like you said.
Asahi, like there's so many.
Yes, Asahi is fucking amazing. And those cans, that like weird 17.2 ounces. Who makes a beer that size? They do.
I know.
Leave them alone. Let them go. Oh my God. Yeah, and I think, like you said, and I never really think about this until I'm speaking with someone who either has like a background in Asian cuisine or, background in Asian heritage. Like, oh yeah, this beer. I'm like, yeah, those are really the best. Tiger.
Yeah.
It's
Tiger,
one of the greatest lagers in the world. And I'll fist fight anyone who says otherwise. There you go. Challenge issued on air. No, they just get so overlooked so quickly. So there you go. Any of those you want with your meal, you got it.
Exactly.
Oh my God! And look at
Thank
this.
you.
Last question, simplest but the most complex in a number of ways. Chef Nini Nguyen, what is food to you in a single word?
Food to me in a single word. I'm going to be cheesy, and I'm going to say it's love. It's how I express my love.
First of all, it's not cheesy. No answer here in this classroom is cheesy. You're a teacher. I'm a teacher. We get that. But honestly, if you think that's cheesy, Chris Kimball, David Rosengarten, and Ming Tsai, all three have said love. So I think you're in pretty good company. I wouldn't shy away from that answer too much. It's strong. I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense. So
if I like you, I'll most likely feed you. And if I don't like you, you're probably going to be starving.
You're going to starve your ass off. There you go. You heard it here from Chef Gangster Nini. She's going to make you starve, and you're going to like it. So
yeah.
So wow, that's there we have it. The Baker's Clay on Insta. I Dream of Nini, Nini, on Insta. We've got CookSpaceBrooklyn.com. CookSpace BK, I believe, on the Twitter and on the Insta as well.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're just all over the social map. And again, Chef Nini Nguyen, she's out there. Reach out, say hi, appreciate her, because she's awesome. And she was awesome enough to do the show. So,
Thank you so much, Shawn.
We have no choice but to appreciate her. So thank you, Nini. We really appreciate it. Again, Chef Nini Nguyen from this season, Top Chef Kentucky. The Baker's Clay, I Dream of Nini on Insta, CookSpace BK, and CookSpaceBrooklyn.com. They're located at 603 Burger Street, Suite 202, Brooklyn, New York, 11238, 718-230-8400 for more information. Again, I can't thank you enough, Nini. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 92 of the Coarse Grind Podcast with me. I know it's crazy, right? And you're just coming into it. I've been with it for 5 years. With me this evening has been the amazing, multi-talented, awesome, shouldn't have been sent home, Tom and Padma, Chef Nini Nguyen. Our producer, as always this evening, has been the lovely and voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his erotica steampunk happenings in the 18431 Honesdale district. Next episode is going to be 93, back to Kentucky. Stay tuned. Retour pour se